Hello, and welcome back to another Knights of Lorcana match. Today we've got Juan versus myself. We've got a blue-green matchup versus purple-steel. I'm on the play today. We're leading off with a Captain Hook. Pretty safe turn one for me. Not sure what I'm up against yet, and I like to play the Captain Hook as it can deal with some early threats. We have Juan going ahead and starting off with a Clarabelle. We also saw that he inked a Tipo, so I know what his color pairing is. Lets me know I'm going to have to go fast in order to get under his control type deck later on. If I allow him to play more stuff later on in the game, he'll just take over the board. Turn 2, I'm coming out with the 2-cost Jafar, evasive on my turn. Pretty standard curve so far for me. Right now we're looking for Juan to play either a Tipo or a Sail. Maybe a tech card, one jump ahead. Yeah, it looks like we've got the Sail coming out. Right now he's just deciding what he wants to put in the inkwell. So it looks like we got a 7-cost Basil going in the inkwell, and then no other 1-cost to play. Pretty good for me. I can just keep questing pretty aggressively here, try and get my lead going as early as possible. So it looks like I'm exerting 2 ink, which shows me my hand is shows my opponent my hand's pretty bricked with uninkables right now. Yeah, so we played a dock, declined the trigger, and then also inked Strength of a Raging Fire, which is definitely not where you want to be turn 3 with this deck. You definitely want to play the 3-cost and then sing that Strength on turn 4. But we've got a decent amount of uninkables with Genie, Hurled this Thunderbolt, Calhoun, and the dock that we played. So a good chance that we've got more than a couple of those cards in hand now, unable to ink them. So we'll see what Juan's response is. So we've got double ramp coming out, Tipo from Juan. And then he goes ahead and passes, doesn't want to expose his characters to any challenges, so tells me he might be looking for a shift on the Clarabelle. So another 2 ink for me, and yeah, so there's a Calhoun coming down. So my hand's definitely not the greatest right now in terms of inkables, but I am able to keep questing pretty aggressively. We've got the Hook, Jafar, and Dock questing now, going up to 6 ink total. So even though my ink situation is not amazing, I'm still in a pretty good spot as far as maintaining a wide board. And then so we just had a card count from Juan, which makes me think maybe there's going to be a Clarabelle coming out. Often the opponent playing green is going to ask you how many cards you've got if they're going to be playing either 3-cost Clarabelle or big 7-cost Clarabelle. Looks like right now we've got 4-cost Donald coming out. Let's each player draw on Juan's before Juan's draw step, the beginning of his turn. So this can be beneficial for me, especially because I'm hurting on unequables so bad. It's definitely going to help me getting a bit more draw, but it will hurt when he does eventually play the Clarabelle. So we've got two Kostrafar going in the Inkwell, and then we've got good old Genie coming down. I'll draw one from that. And the board's looking pretty wide right now. I think I maybe made a slight misplay there. Could have quested the Calhoun as well, I think. It's not under any threat of being banished because the Donald Duck only has 2 strength, so the resist will get around that. And then Clarabelle and Tipo both just have 1 strength apiece. So maybe could have gotten just 1 extra lore there. But I think my mindset was just to keep the Calhoun safe in case there was a Clarabelle shift. Didn't want him attacking into it. I wanted to hold that Calhoun in case the Clarabelle did like a shift sing, some other shenanigan. So we've got Wan playing Vision. So Vision coming down lets me know that he doesn't have exactly what he wants in hand currently. He's digging for hopefully an answer to this wide board. So even though he might be playing something really strong next turn, I'm feeling pretty comfortable with where my board is at. No Prince Philip on the board yet, so I don't have to worry about any Philip shift shenanigans with Malicious, Mean, and Scary. He does not have the ink to just pay the 9 straight up for the Philip. So I think my mindset here will be to just quest out and put on as much pressure as I can. Yeah, so taking a bit of time trying to decide what he wants to pull, what's going to be the best answer going forward here. He's got 4 more ink to work with. Also can still ink for turn. And then there is the aforementioned Philip. So now in my mind, I'm a little bit scared of the Malicious, Mean, and Scary big Philip board wipe. But if I just hold what I've got in my hand currently and quest out, even if he does take out my board, I should be able to come back with what I do have in hand. Just can't overextend here. So I think here he's just deciding if it's smart to take anything out while I do have these characters exerted, as it will be at 15 next turn. But he goes ahead and passes. So yeah, pretty strong mid game for me now, even though I did have a rough uninkables or a rough inkable inkwell situation in the start. And watching this now, I think my best bet is just quest out, maybe ink for turn if I want to, but I know I'll be getting an extra card from Donald next turn, so could just hold everything and then start playing more cards after the Philip comes down. So, but we do strength the Donald. I think my mindset here was if I take out the Donald, I will stop him from being able to dig further into his deck. And I will also get value out of all the cards I have on the field now. Donald does have that 5 willpower, and if I do get hit with the big Philip combo, that strength will basically just be dead in my hand. So I just went ahead and hard casted it for the 3 ink instead of singing, and then just quested with all 5 characters. So I think I like that play there. Just trying to get value out of all the cards I have on the field now before I get Philipped, if it's a possibility, and then also prevents him digging if he happens to be missing a piece of the combo. Like he might not have the Malicious, Mean, and Scary or the Philip in hand right now. But I am pressuring game on board here. He will have to make a decision on something to challenge, unless he's got Song in hand to answer this. Right now, he's just taking some time, probably doing some math, deciding what's going to be the most appropriate challenges. So it looks like we got two challenges, one onto Clarabelle, one onto Hook. And then we do get the shifted Philip, so he probably didn't have the malicious, mean, and scary in hand there. We did see one go into the Inkwell earlier, I believe. So yeah, and then the Philip went ahead and challenged the genie. As Big Philip is evasive. Yeah, so 2 damage on that Philip. So a pretty good cleanup, even without having the malicious, mean, and scary. We'll see what options I've got in hand right now. So we do Calhoun challenging into Clarabelle. We quested one with the Doc, and then we got the Cobra. So clean 20 lore right there. 5 lore swing, which was perfect for me. It was a quick game 1. Even though we didn't curve out properly, we still managed to get there in the end. Dodged the big board wipe, which was nice. So yeah, we're going to shuffle up and go to game 2. Moving on to game 2, we've got mulligans complete. I will be on the draw this time. So we're going to see what WhanDamme leads out with. Biggest threats, I think, are right now, I am still very afraid of the Prince Philip and the malicious, mean, and scary combo. Looks like I inked a bird, played a bird. Went ahead and inked turn 1, but did not have the turn 1 play, so we're not going to see little Clarabelle out for the shift. And then we've got Big Basil going in the Inkwell for a Tipo. So Tipo is nice here for him, I think, because he can challenge the Diablo if he chooses. And I would like to start questing with this Diablo as quickly as possible, so hopefully I do have the Calhoun in hand to hopefully discourage some challenging. And there she goes, Calhoun down. So this will hopefully dissuade WhanDamme from challenging the Diablo with Tipo, as it will just give me a free 2 lore with Calhoun. We'll see what this turn 4 play is from WhanDamme. Looking for either a Donald Duck or ideally a Cinderella. You got a Visions in the Inkwell, and there's a Cinderella down. And this Cinderella has been a game changer for a lot of blue decks. Really helps bridge that gap between the early ramp and your big cards. Sort of replaced cards like Pleakley. All right, so we got the Cobra going down, discarded a Hook, got 2 lore from that, and then we quested with Calhoun and the Diablo. Felt pretty safe with this quest. Calhoun cannot be challenged cleanly by the Cinderella or Tipo. We got Develop going in the Inkwell for WhanDamme, and then Visions coming down. So this is a big indicator to me that he's not quite there with what he wants in hand. He's digging for some answers, maybe looking for the big Clarabelle, looking for maybe a Basil to disrupt me. There are a lot of really good cards in this blue-green combo, but you need to find these correct pieces and have the ink to play them. So we do get another Donald Duck Perfect Gentleman coming down. That'll be really nice for him to start digging a bit more. And then he goes ahead and passes, doesn't want to exert his characters, opening them up to good trades from me. So we've got 4 for an Iago, which is a really nice threat against the Prince Philip. Iago being evasive can help me contest. Iago House also has really good synergy with Dumbo. Again, being evasive lets me use Dumbo's ability. And I would much rather use Dumbo's ability with Iago than just Quest. Getting the lore and the card is really nice. But I do have to watch with how many cards I'm drawing with the threat of Clarabelle. That's always in the back of my mind here. At this point, I'm also thinking there might be a threat of like a Hades or something. I know I haven't seen the entirety of Wan's deck, so I'm not really sure what kind of threats he's got available. We do have the big Clarabelle come down though, so I've got 3 in hand right now. And we'll see what kind of work he can do. Do get You're welcome. So it looks like Calhoun got hit with the You're welcome, getting shuffled back in. And then he does challenge the Diablo, which is a pretty good play for him. Does lets me draw an extra card, but we'll give him an extra card from the Clarabelle. End of turn. And then he goes ahead and quests with Donald Duck. So he does manage to get a very big Clarabelle draw, which, in my opinion, if you can get 4 or 5 cards with Clarabelle, she's done her job. Don't even really need to quest with her. Just filling that hand really nicely one time is often what you need with her. So at this point, I've got a bunch of cards in hand, but not a lot of ink. So I'm just weighing my options, trying to decide what would be best. Might have a Strength of a Raging Fire or a Thunderbolt in hand, which doesn't really take out anything super cleanly except for the Cinderella. We do have an Elsa come down, though. We're going to exert the Clarabelle. And then we challenge Tipo with Elsa. And we clean up the Clarabelle with Iago and the Snake. Iago lives with 5 damage on him, which could be very useful if I have a Cheshire Cat in hand. Can start moving some damage around. But overall, I think that was not a super impactful turn for me. I was able to take down the Clarabelle, but he drew everything that he would want most likely, and he's got all the ink to play it. And now I'm just sitting with 2 damaged, albeit evasive characters on the board, which I think could easily be cleaned up by a Malicious, Mean, and Scary. Also, just a Big Phillip. He is sitting at 8 ink, so he would just need 1 more to play the Big Phillip. And then there's the small Phillip coming down. And Little Phillip itself can be very difficult for me to deal with. It's just kind of a constant threat. Even if he does not have the combo in hand, it kind of mentally holds me back from putting out everything I want on the board. Very similar to pre-rotation with, oh gosh, can't think of the card now. Be Prepared. When you were playing against red, you often didn't want to dump your hand, knowing that the whole board could be wiped at any time. So this is a similar mindset where now that this is on the board, I'm feeling a bit of a threat. So I will most likely be holding back cards in my hand, not playing everything I have, just to make sure I'm not getting taken out cleanly. I do get a card count. I've got 5 cards in hand, which is a lot of options, but yeah, with just 5 ink, maybe 6 ink next turn, I might not have everything that I need to play those cards. Do get a quest from the Cinderella and the Donald Duck. So lore totals relatively close now. He does have obviously heavier questers than I do at this point, looking at 5 lore per turn if he wants to exert that Philip. We do get Genie down for a draw. Always a good threat to have, needs to be dealt with. If it's not, then can run away with the game pretty quickly. And I think at this point I'm weighing my options, wondering if it's worth to maybe take out the Donald or the Cinderella with Iago. I will lose the Iago, but we get an Olaf down, which is an interesting card, especially versus the Malicious, Mean, and Scary combo. Because when he sings the Malicious, Mean, and Scary, the Olaf dies, triggering its ability to let me bounce something back to hand. Okay, awesome. So we challenged Donald with Elsa, and then we finished it with a strength from Iago, so not having to commit the Iago completely. And taking a use of the multiple characters I have on board with strength right now. Again, when I see this Prince Philip, I am expecting the combo with Malicious and Big Philip, so I definitely want to use my strength sooner rather than later before it becomes a weak card that I'm just might just have to ink. Yeah, with Olaf, very interesting interaction with Malicious, Mean, and Scary. It does get banished from the Malicious, Mean, and Scary and allows me to bounce a card back to my hand before it he's able to sing them or play the Prince Philip. So I can save one character, which is nice. And in my head, I'm thinking if I have an Iago in hand, I might bounce back the Elsa and then play the Iago, play the Elsa next turn, and exert the Big Philip. Yeah, we do see Malicious, Mean, and Scary down, so Iago pops from that. I do decide to bounce back Genie here. We take that back. No, so instead of bouncing back Genie, I decided to bounce back the Elsa. Genie's existing with 1 damage right now. We did lose Olaf and Iago cleanly to the song because Iago had 5 damage on him. And we do get 6 for a John Silver. So when this character is played and when it quests, chosen opposing character gains Reckless. So Genie will not be able to quest next turn. It can still sing a song and obviously challenge, but no questing for him. We do have obviously strength, even though it's not going to be as strong with only Genie and maybe a couple other characters on board. But we also have Thunderbolt as well available, with Genie being 4 cost. But at this point, I feel like WhanDamme's taken pretty solid control of this game. We do have an Elsa down, exerting the silver. Genie Thunderbolts, and then Elsa finish off on the silver. So take that out pretty cleanly, which is nice. Glad I bounced the Elsa back for a bit more utility. But even so, I still think Wan has very good control of this game. He's got a lot more ink than I do at this point, and his hand is most likely filled with way more high impact cards. I have not been able to maintain a wide board presence here, which is ultimately going to hurt me. But the threat of the Big Philip is really making me not want to play the smaller stuff I have in hand. But we do get hit with a Bend to My Will, unfortunately, discarding 5 cards, including a Demona, which is a huge hit. Um, kind of a catch-22 because I'm holding cards back expecting the Phillip, but then we get hit with the bend, and we're kind of in the same situation where if I played out with Phillip and lost everything, I'd be top decking, but now with the bend, I'm also top decking. So a very, very brutal catch-22 that this deck can put you in. So we get a Lexington down, which is nice because it can threaten Big Phillip. And then we get the Malicious, Mean, and Scary, and then he just hard casts Big Phillip, which cleans my board up. And at this point, I'm thinking it's probably going to be game. He is now questing for 6 a turn with a full hand, and I am top decking. So not a lot of options that I've got here. We get a cat coming down. I think my only outs are a dock into maybe like a genie again or a Dumbo. But I think at this point, no matter what I'm drawing, since I'm top decking, it's not going to be good. I think that bend to my will was the nail in the coffin for me this game. He did a really good job of controlling my board up until the point where I had a full hand and then went and took it down. Do get a genie, which is nice. A couple more options. But at this point, I can only take down the Phillip or the Cinderella, but he'll still have 6 lore no matter what. Because of the Phillip's ward, I'm not able to challenge Cinderella and then move the damage, which would be very nice. So yeah, I'm just thinking through my options here, but I think there's really nothing I can do here. So yeah, we go ahead and scoop it up, and we're gonna go next game. Moving on to game 3. Looks like we just finished up mulligans, and we're starting up. I will be on the play this time, and I've inked a hook, and we're gonna play a hook. I think versus blue, I like Diablo or Olaf especially against the green blue as a first card, but we will take hook. Hitting a 1-drop is better than not hitting any 1-drops. Then we've got a bit of a decision coming down from Wan. He does apologize a bit for taking a while to decide for the first turn, but I think that it's okay, especially in this ink pairing. The early game really makes or breaks what's going to happen later on. He needs to set himself up really well to play his bigger stuff later on. Whatever he inks, like for example, he inked a Malicious, Mean, and Scary game 1, which I think ultimately really hurt him. So it's just small stuff like that you really need to think about before you just go and play. I told him that it's a lot different than my deck where I'm just looking to play a 1, 2, 3 cost character. I don't really care what they are. I have preferred ones, but at the end of the day, I just want to curve out. So it's a lot less brain power involved for that. At turn 2, we've got our curve. Jafar evasive on your turn. And I'm showing that I did draw 3 of my 4 hooks in my opening hand, which is not super ideal, but at least plenty of ink to work with. So at this point, we know he's looking for Tipo or Sail for his turn 2 ramp. We get a big Phillip put in the inkwell. And then we've got 2, 4. Looks like we get the 1 jump ahead. So some blue decks will tech 1 or 2 1 jump aheads just for that extra safety on finding your turn 2 ramp. He did mulligan 7 this game, so he dug 14 cards, and the only ramp he found was the one jump ahead, so the tech definitely paid off for him. We've got turn 3 Lexington, so we've got our perfect 1-2-3 curve. Starting to try to quest aggressively again. This is starting to remind me a lot of game 1, where I was just questing very quickly, trying to get under all of this big stuff that he's doing. We got a sail in the inkwell, and then we find the Donald Duck. That's going to allow him to dig a little bit more. I will most likely be taking these Donald draws. Not great with the Clarabelle shift line available, but I do like to have the extra cards in hand just in case. So we got the turn 4 Iago, so the perfect 1-2-3-4 curve. No strength in hand, it looks like, because I did quest with the Lexington. But again, fine with that. We are just trying to get aggressive, go quickly. If I did have the strength in hand, I probably would have strengthed the Clarabelle, just to stop the shift line if it's a possibility for him. But yeah, I realized that we never drew for Donald, so we both drew a card there for a Donald effect. And then he's got a Develop Your Brain in the inkwell, up to 5, so he does have the, oops, not that, the big Clarabelle shift line available. And we will see it come down. So this is going to be a turning point in the match for sure. Any songs like You're Welcome, Mother's Knows Best will be able to clean my board up a little bit and also provide him with a bit more card advantage. And he does have the Donald available to sing as well as the big Clarabelle. Yeah, so Mother Knows Best being sung by the Donald, targeting Lexington. So Lexington goes back to hand. And then Iago gets hit by the You're Welcome. And I like that play. If he had targeted my Iago with Mother Knows Best, it would have banished it because it's an illusion. But the way You're Welcome works, it being shuffled into my deck, Iago does not see itself anymore to be banished because we have to fully resolve the action first. So it does get shuffled into my deck, and I do draw 2. So I'm ending with 5, or I think 6, and he's drawing 4. And so at this point, I am not feeling super comfortable. I can clean up his Clarabelle with the Jafar and Hook. That is 6 damage available, but doing that would clean up my board, which is not super ideal, but it's probably prudent for me to get rid of the Clarabelle just so he doesn't have the big questing available. So yeah, we do go ahead and get rid of Clarabelle. And then with the cards I have in hand, I probably am able to replace what I had on the board. We do have a Jafar come down, as well as a Cheshire Cat. So nice combo of cards. I could, with the cat, cleanly challenge the Donald Duck by challenging it with cat and then moving the 2 damage onto it, banishing it. So that's an option I have. If he wants to quest the Donald Ducks, that might lock the duck down. Some cards I'm concerned about right now are that big Basil we've seen go into the Inkwell a couple times. Another Clarabelle if he's got it, or maybe the John Silver to force me into challenging, or if he doesn't exert, I won't be able to quest. We do see a Develop come down, so indicates to me he might not have what he wants in hand. Feels pretty good for me. That builds my confidence slightly. I have more cards in hand, so I can hopefully build a wider board, as we still haven't seen the Prince Philip come down, so I'm not too concerned about the Philip combo. But right when we say it, there comes the Philip. So takes the confidence that I did have and kind of dashes it a bit. And then on top of the Philip, we've got a vision right after the develop. So he's had a good chance here to dig. So I am expecting him to have the combo. I have to play around that at this point with how far he's dug into the deck. It it would be, I think it would be unlikely for him to not have a malicious, mean, and scary plus the big Philip in hand from that Clarabelle draw and then the two digs. So I have to be wary of that. But at the same time, we do also have to be wary of the bend to my will because of the dig. We do get a Dumbo down, and we go ahead and do Dumbo ability on Jafar. He is evasive on my turn, so that's a good synergy he has. We ink a Diablo for turn and play the Olaf, which is nice. So if we do end up running into the malicious, mean, and scary combo, Olaf will be able to bounce something back for me. I do draw for the Donald. So I'm feeling pretty comfortable right now, even though we do have the threat of the Big Philip malicious, mean, and scary combo. I think I have enough cards in hand plus the Olaf to save something. Most likely, I would save the Cheshire Cat here. I think it provides the most threat and board control. Dumbo would be an okay pick as well, but I think he's dealing with my evasives well enough that I might not get a ton of value off of the Dumbo. And I am drawing from his Donald Duck anyway, so I'm not getting massive value out of it like I would in other games. Yeah, the 3 cost Philip having Ward really enables this malicious, mean, and scary combo to be so potent because it's very difficult to remove the Philip without something like a Demona to exert his whole board. Unless I can find her and play her, I really don't get a lot of chances to take down that Philip before he can sing the song. We do have 7 cost Basil come down. He's going to choose a bounce target, and he does go ahead and bounce the Dumbo, which I'm okay with. I got some value out of it at this point. And here I'm not expecting him to quest with the Philip or the Duck, as they will be pretty vulnerable to what I have on board. But you never know. We do get a card count, so that does make me worry about either a Clarabelle or a Bend. And then, of course, we do have obviously the threat of the Big Philip, malicious, mean, and scary. So in my head, I'm thinking, do I play out what I have to avoid the bend, or do I hold it back to avoid the Prince Philip? We do get Jafar challenged into 6 ink on my side, so I do have enough ink to play the Demona if I've got it, which would allow me to take down the Philip. That would most likely be like the ideal play. We do play a Cobra, discarding a Diablo to go up 2. Solid choice, gets 2 cards out of my hand. And then we do have the Cheshire Cat finish the Diablo, and then I boost it and move the damage to the Basil. This hopefully dissuades the Basil from just going and finishing off my cat, as it won't survive the trade. And then from here, I think I'm contemplating whether or not I want to quest with the Olaf or ink for turn, as I haven't inked for turn yet, but I do go ahead and just pass. Probably still just worried about the Big Phillip. It's like the big thing that's always running through my head in this matchup is just I don't want to get hit with a huge malicious mean and scary. And at this point in the match, I'm not feeling incredibly comfortable. I'm definitely feeling the pressure of the amount of ink he has available and the threats that he has. So we do get a malicious, mean, and scary sung. So I do put the 1 damage on the Cobra, and then I bounce the cat. And then Cobra gets banished from the bounce. Or sorry, gets banished from the Big Phillip coming down. And then he quests 3 with the Phillip. So at this point, I am on a clock. He will win the game in 4 turns if I can't answer this Phillip or this Basil. Phillip is the biggest threat, being evasive and a 3 quester. So this is a huge turning point in the match where I need to start uh, really drawing into some answers. Really need like an Elsa or an Iago to deal with the evasive, or a Lexington as well would be nice. Could use something like an Elsa plus a Thunderbolt to clean up the Phillip. We do get Dumbo coming back down. That's the one that got bounced in my hand with the Mother Knows Best. And then for another 3, we've got Lexington coming down. So this is a decent play for me. If he does end up questing with the Phillip again, I can take it down with both Lexington and Dumbo. Not ideal because it will clean my board up, but I do have some cards in hand to hopefully recover from that. So I think that was my plan here, was just take down the Phillip, or at least pressure the Phillip into not questing until I can build my board up again. Now we've got the opponent just thinking about what the options are. 8 ink available, so we can see a Basil, see another John Silver, see just a hard cast Clarabelle. We do get another card count, makes me think about maybe Clarabelle coming. I think I'm okay with him taking time to decide what's going to happen here, because I think this is a pretty pivotal moment of the match. Could make or break what's going to happen. We do get a Visions coming down, so just digging for what could possibly be another answer. At this point, I am worried again about the bend now that he's digging a bit more. Little worried about some removal with You're Welcome, or just getting bounced by the Mother Knows Best. We could also see another Malicious, Mean, and Scary sung by the Basil, and then have him shift Big Phillip on top of Big Phillip. That's always an option, and could be pretty devastating to my board state. We do see a Little Phillip going in the Inkwell, and then Dumbo gets You're Welcomed by the Basil. So I've got a pretty full hand, so very worried about the bend, and there it goes. Ripping a big bend. I think I lose about 6 cards there. 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so I lost 6 cards in hand there, which was very brutal. At this point, even though it's only 3 lore to 10, I do think that that was most likely going to be the game. Um, there's not a lot that I could draw to come back from this. I do draw another Lexington, and I challenge Philip with Lexington, hopefully just trying to stop him from questing so I can maybe draw an answer. But we are on a 3-turn clock right now with the characters he has on board. So, and we've got an empty hand just top decking. Really, only answers that we could find are maybe a Doc or a Hades to draw a couple cards, or a Demona as well to fill my hand. And then he does go ahead and play a Cinderella, which gives him a bit more filtering, more ink. And then we get 2-cost evasive Jafar coming down. Not very impactful. We do manage to take out the big Philip, which is nice. It will slow him down a bit, but still not exactly the answer that we're looking for. We had some cards fall off the top of the deck there, kind of flinging them around. That bend had me had me feeling some type of way. But that's the name of the game here. It's when you're playing against blue green control, that's really just how it happens sometimes. I mean, it's so late in the game that I really can't not expect big plays like that to happen. It's basically either going to be the Philip or it's going to be the bend. We do get the double dig. We go for a develop into a visions. Just looking for more pieces to hopefully secure the match. Stuff like silver or basil for more disruption on my already very weak board state would probably be enough to just seal it. And we've got 7-4 Big Basil. And then, so here I made a slight mistake. I'm supposed to discard the Jafar that he sent back to hand because he quested with the Basil. We did rectify it the next turn. Didn't ultimately change anything, though. He's sitting at 5 lore on board. I do play a Genie, draw, get a Cobra. I try to discard the Jafar, and then he lets me know that the Jafar should have been discarded anyway. And then, yeah, so I don't gain the 2 lore from the Cobra. And then here he's questing to 19. Really not a lot I can do. We do get the John Silver down, so I can't even quest. Yeah, do flip a Dock on the top of the deck. Maybe I could have played it out and drawn a couple of cards, seen what my options are, but I didn't really have anything that would cleanly answer all 4 characters on board with him being at 19 lore. So yeah, it was really good games. Definitely felt bad to lose like that twice to the bend to my will. It was very very oppressive. It felt like there was not a lot that I could do because I was holding back for the Prince Philip malicious mean and scary, but then while I was holding back, I was also getting hit with bend. But yeah, great games. Hope to see him again soon. I can get my revenge. Yeah, catch you for the next one.